Very excited in this episode. I've got another ex-TV newser who is also a YouTuber. We've got Angela from Beauty News with Angela Cruz here. Hi, I'm ex-TV producer Jennifer Moore, and Angela is with me, and I'm very excited because you have also left TV news for the future, which is YouTube. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting to talk to a former TV person too.
Woohoo! And you're in Florida, which is like my dream state, so I'm a little bit jealous, although you just turned on the AC, so I mean, it's hot there. It's hot in Florida.
It is.
So you and I connected through a Facebook group for media people, and I was excited because you don't meet a lot of other media people who are really into YouTube, and you have your own channel, Beauty News with Angela Cruz. Can you talk a little bit about your background, how you got started in the business?
Yeah, actually, I was in TV news for 9 years and I did promotions, producing. I was a morning anchor, reporter, MMJ, which is a one-man band for people who don't know what that is. We shoot our own video, shoot your own stand-ups, edit everything. So basically every hat in a newsroom I've pretty much worn. So I understand, pitching and how to turn a story and tell a story. And, that's kind of my background. I did that for 9 years. I've moved into the PR world. I wanted to have a YouTube channel when I was a morning anchor at my first station. It was Nexstar owned, so they quote unquote owned your image, so you couldn't have anything like that, which made me sad because I was watching another morning anchor who now has almost 1 million subscribers, and I was just watching her grow and grow and grow because her station let her do that. And so she actually left TV and is now a full-time YouTube beauty vlogger. And so I feel like maybe if I had just been like her and, started earlier, but I kept with the news. When I finally started my YouTube channel, it was when I got out of news. So it's been about 4 or 5 years now. And that's where I am today. A very different world, as you said. TV and, YouTube is like completely different.
Definitely. And that's one thing that talent face sometimes is, I was talking this with some other folks here on the program. Sometimes you're restricted from things you can do outside work like that. I had one station I was under contract as a producer and I couldn't have a YouTube channel. What? But I'm not kidding. Like you can't have like an outside job. Like there was some stuff in the contract. So I like you, I kind of feel the same way. I'm like, why didn't I start this 10 years earlier when YouTube was just starting? I could have been so much further, but you know what? Hey, better late than never. And so you've had a lot of different jobs in the news business. What originally made you want to get into journalism?
I think that I was always drawn to it. In college, I didn't major in, well, actually, let me take that back. I started majoring in journalism, and then I didn't do well in the classes, which is funny because I had a professor who was like, TV's terrible. Don't go work in TV. It's too hard. It'll give you stress ulcers. And so I listened to him, and I didn't get a journalism degree, but then I ended up, it's kind of a long story, which I won't get into, but I ended up working at a TV station after I was a teacher. I was getting my master's in teaching, and then the TV station called me because I had interned and worked there during college. So, and when they hired me, I was like, you know what? If I work at this station, because they hired me in promotions, I was like, if I work at this station, I want to be like an anchor. Like I want to be a reporter, an anchor on air, because this is what I would really love to do. It's what I wanted to do when I went to college. And then fast forward, I don't even know how many months, 6 months, 9 months. It was small market. It's my hometown in Louisiana, Monroe. And so the opportunity presented itself because, people have 2-year contracts and they leave. And so the morning anchor job came open. I became the anchor. I was there for 5 years as the morning anchor and I loved it. I thought I would never leave, but then I got married to another reporter at the station. So we're still married, having our first baby. So it's been a journey. It's definitely been something that, I look back and I'm very grateful for, but at the same time, like you, I'm like, golly, if I really had known the future, I would not have done TV. And that is not a question. I would be like all up in the YouTube, you know what I mean? Because that's where things tend to go these days.
Oh, for sure. When you first heard of YouTube, like I remember when I first heard about it, I kind of thought it was sort of like an America's Funniest Home Video online. Was that sort of the impression you got too? Like, people are going to upload cute cat videos or like funny kid videos. And I had no idea that it was going to go the way it has, which is a huge media, like this is where everyone is. So that's super exciting, but hey, we're doing it now. So no time like the present. So I do want to ask, do you feel like there's anything that you want the world to know about the media industry that maybe people tend to get the wrong idea about or like have a misperception about?
I think for me, what I think people don't understand, especially because, you came from CNN, you did the network thing. I did purely local news, 3 different stations. I think people don't understand timing. That's one of the challenges I run to in my current full-time job, because I think people don't understand this is a daily report. You get a call in the morning and it's like, hey, I want to do this story. It's like right now, like
Yeah.
5 minutes ago. So I think people don't understand the rush. Also, I feel that that was a skill set that actually has helped me with YouTube, because I'm so quick. Because in TV, it's like I would turn double packages as an MMJ. I would shoot 2 different stories. I remember one day I shot 4 different packages in my media market station, and they were like, oh, we're looking at the rundown. Why do you have 4 packages? I was like, I got you. And
Did you edit all 4 packages?
Girl, I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh. That might be, is that a record, you think?
I don't know.
That has to be some sort of, all right. Well, if you're watching, for everyone watching, if you have done this, or if you know anyone else who has produced more than 4 packages in a day, let us know. Otherwise, we're going to consider Angela the champ. I think we should. That was
crazy.
I remember thinking, wow, if somebody could do 2 in a day, that's like really gangbusters, but 4 is insane.
I was very
4 is insane. Were your shoots at least close together?
I don't even remember that. But they had to have been, because I was an education reporter. And so it's like I knew what to do. I would go to a classroom. I'm like, wide, medium, tight when I was shooting my film, hand cutaways of the students writing on the desk. I mean, it was like I had the science down, but I will say I was kind of a sloppy MMJ because I had to turn so much content. It was like the quick and dirty, which I know a lot of the old time news people that were in like the 80s of the glory days were like, oh, it's so, it's not great storytelling. I'm like, hey, I made deadline.
Yeah, it's making air, not making art,
That's right.
Sometimes that's well, yeah. How long did it take you? Like, how fast could you write a package?
Oh man, I don't know about a package, probably like 25 minutes, but I could do a VOSOT in like 4. Because I remember my mentor, who's the weekend anchor here in this market in West Palm Beach, he was like, you just wrote that VOSOT? And I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, it's already feeding back.
We got other stuff to do. And the other thing that people don't realize is, say you get put on one story in the morning, you get that, you turn that, you're working on that. Often your story will change, or you'll get sent out on spot news. So the more you've done already means the less you have to do later. And like, even as a producer, I remember always having to be like, I'm going to get my show done early.
Yes.
I think if this blows up, I don't want to still be writing old VOSOTs when I got to focus on a fire,
I do the same. Like, I don't understand producers.
It's called working ahead,
Like, when they would wait till the last minute, I'm like, what?
I'm like, no.
I'm printing scripts. I'm already printing scripts. Well, I'll say this. One thing that I have learned because of my crazy MMJ background in news was that I will do a YouTube video and I will not perfect it, because I was like, I don't feel like it. Like, I just want to get it done. You may also have seen on my channel too, and I definitely want to talk to you about this because I feel like this is becoming a thing for YouTube. I do a lot of YouTube lives. And I know I mentioned this to you earlier this week, Jennifer, when we were like talking about, scheduling this, conference together. I was like, YouTube lives for me, not only are they so much easier because I don't have to post edit, I just put up my iPhone on a little tripod and then I just, go live. YouTube actually favors lives. Like, they're like, they will boost them more. I can tell you, like, I literally have seen more views on my videos because of YouTube lives. Like, I really believe that. I think it's because YouTube is boosting them.
And you probably have a lot of live experience. So for you, it's probably like a little easier maybe than for some people, just because you were so used to being in a live environment.
This is true. I wasn't intimidated. I do think that a lot of the bigger YouTubers will kind of stay away from that because they're so used to the filming it, chopping it up, editing it, making it perfect, not saying stuff like that. I'm like, who cares? It's YouTube live, blah, blah, blah. Literally who's watching, so that's something that I do. I actually do recommend that to people because I'm like, if you were like the way I was, when I was going through a phase where I wanted my quality to be really good, it would take me so long to shoot and edit a video. To this day, it still takes me longer than I would like. Even though I'm like a crazy fast editor, I still am like, taking my time and then doing everything. Because as you know, putting together a YouTube video and uploading it is not just a film and put it up. It's like, make the thumbnail and, write the descriptive tags and the description and all that good, promote it on social media. It's like a whole...
It's definitely a process. Like, and also YouTube likes it if you embed the video places, if you share it places.
Yes.
So like, I'm finding I'm always doing that. So that's so interesting. And I agree with you. I think doing those live things they're fun. They're a little more candid. And, there's a lot. And I find with editing, I have to set deadlines. Like, I'm like, I'm going to give myself 3 hours to edit. And however much I get done in 3 hours, that's what I'm putting out, because I've noticed too, I don't know if you've noticed this, but the more time I seem to spend on a video, the fewer views it gets.
Really?
Like, a lot of my most viewed videos are ones that I really did not, like, I didn't knock myself at all out with the editing. Like, the format was very like talking head. So a lot of the videos that I spent a ton of time on and were like, I was like, yeah, this is going to do really well, they didn't end up doing as well. So sometimes it's the videos that you're like, about that people, like, it's so weird, because I'm like, there was one video I spent like a month doing, and I think even to this day it has like 600 views.
Okay.
But yet a video that I kind of taped randomly off the cuff has like 80,000. Like, which is so weird. I'm like, so sometimes that's something I want to tell like our TV friends is like, the videos that like this, like the special pieces that you would do for your news station, that's not always what's going to get the clicks on YouTube. It's, and the thumbnail is so important too.
Yeah.
So, but I've had some weird experiences with YouTube just because you're like, that one really? Like that video? Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. My most viewed video is like filmed in my bathroom. It's really crappy, but the topic was something that people found interesting. So I was like, okay, I was not mentally prepared that would blow up, and it did.
Like, okay.
The ones that I'm like, I made it so good. I had the music to the beat, and it was like.
And yeah, people just don't appreciate things like you. It's so. What do you edit on? What do you like to?
But I will say, and I tell this to everybody, I did editing for a year or two on iMovie, and I was fine with that. I think it just was one day I was like, I'm going to take it to the next level. I will say what had happened was I had to convince my husband. I was like, I want to invest in good gear. So I'll show you, because I put this here because I knew it was going to. So I got me a good camera. I got me a Canon DSLR, and then I also got what I'm talking to you on right now, which is a MacBook Pro. I boosted it. I'm not going to lie. It was so expensive, but I was like, I'm going to invest. And then I will say, when I won the Today Show Social Star contest, I was like, it was worth every penny, I felt like that helped my quality go to the next level. It doesn't necessarily help your views, but I also feel that it helps your credibility. I feel like people actually started asking me makeup questions after I switched my gear. You would think the two are not related, because I was like, girl, I've been knowing about makeup for 20 years. Why are you just now asking me? I've been doing these YouTube videos for years, or, I don't even remember how long it was before I bought the gear. I think it was like, I've been doing YouTube like 2 years, and then I got the good stuff. And then my videos looked better. I had the background, which this is not my normal background, but I had the sparkly background and the blurry, bokeh and everything.
You got the bokeh. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Is it bokeh?
Bokeh, I think.
I'm like bokeh. Yeah, I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I want to ask you about your Today. So you won a contest through the Today Show. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how that ended up coming together?
Sure. So it was another former TV friend who is to this day one of my blogging best friends, Christina All Day, at Christina All Day. She tagged me. She used to be a reporter in Miami. I don't even remember how we met, but she tagged me. Oh, the media bloggers group that we're part of. She tagged me on the Today Show's Facebook that says, we're looking for a Vine, a Instagrammer, and a YouTuber to enter this contest. And she was like, Angela, beauty blogger. And I was like, oh girl, I am entering
You're
that.
all into that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I will be a beauty blogger. So I made the little video they asked you to make, which is like explaining why you want to be the social star, because they were looking for people who had less than either 5,000 or 10,000 subscribers. I don't remember the exact number, but at the time I think I only had like 2,000 or 3. I'm not sure. So I won, and the day the producer called me, and I remember it very vividly because she was half Filipino, like I am. And like, she was like, hey, and it literally happened like I fantasized. Like, I was like, I'm not going to win this contest. This is the Today Show. Be real. There's no way. And I let myself have like 1 30-second fantasy of what it would be like if I won. And I imagined getting the call, and literally it was exactly like my fantasy. Like, she called me and was like, hey, you won. And I was like, I'm driving and I'm crying. Because I was so excited. When I used to be a morning anchor, it was in an NBC affiliate. So I used to toss to the Today Show. So I watched it every day. I was a big fan. So whenever I won that, it was like, oh my gosh, this has all been like, literally, if nothing had ever happened with my YouTube channel, and to this day I had no channel, that would have made the whole experience worth it, because how else would I ever have gotten?
Yeah, I got into the, and so what happened when you won the contest? They flew you out to a couple places, and you got some mentoring, and you got to be on the Today Show, right?
Yeah. So they did a package for for non-news people, that's basically, they did the recorded story. Hoda Kotb, who I love, voiced mine, which was amazing. So they flew me to VidCon in Los Angeles, and I got mentored by Candy Johnson. And it was so funny because when the producer told me who my person that was going to mentor me was going to be, like, I screamed because I had watched Candy. Like, she was probably the first beauty YouTuber that I actually subscribed to. And I'm not just saying that. You know, I was like, I'm not just saying this for the Today Show. Like, this is actual facts. Because I remember a friend of mine texting me saying, you need to follow this YouTuber. In fact, she probably MySpace messaged me. That's how long ago it was. This is like,
oh, I remember. Oh, yes, MySpace.
Yeah.
Did you have a customized profile, Angela?
Please. I had the music playlist. It was like swirly green little trees. You know, I think MySpace needs to come back because I love
do too. I do miss Facebook. Just doesn't have the same pizzazz. I don't know.
MySpace, I don't know why it died. I'm like, what was wrong with it? It was
well, who tried to buy MySpace? Was it Google? Like, was it Google or Facebook? They tried to buy MySpace. The people turned it down. It was a lot of money, and now, of course, MySpace is worth like nothing.
I know.
So that would be funny if MySpace had a comeback. You know what? I would go back on MySpace. You know?
Oh, no doubt. I loved it. I would
totally do it.
Friends because I was like, oh, my friends are equal. But other than that, it was perfect. Well, I'll say this. So she told me, you got to follow Candy because she reminds me of you, which Candy's like way like hip and awesome and just like spunky and fun. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's such a big compliment. So I followed her, subscribed. I've watched like so many of her videos. And so getting to actually meet her was a big deal. And then getting mentoring from her, because what happened was when we went to VidCon, they did the first story and they're like, we will follow along with your progress of mentoring and then do a follow-up story like 2 to 3 months later. So that's actually what happened. They didn't use the mentoring footage that they thought they would. What ended up happening is that we went live in Studio 1A as a follow-up. Then we did some online bits to kind of just be like, this is Angela and Candy's beauty tips, you know? So it was actually more about beauty advice than actually following my journey. And maybe because, and I'm just being real, maybe my journey was a little disappointing because I didn't get like 10, 20,000 subscribers like I had hoped. And maybe they had hoped as well. I did see a tiny little boost, but not anything. It was more about, for me, that I earned credibility.
Yeah, like that's legit. The Today Show feels legit. You're like, yes, I am there. Did you get to hang out? Did you get to drink wine with Kathleen and Hoda at all?
I got to see them, but I didn't get to drink wine with them at all. We were actually—
They look like fun.
They were totally, you know, I had actually interviewed Hoda Kotb when I was a reporter here in West Palm Beach. And I was like, you know, so I'm like a big fan of hers. It was great. So, you know, the whole experience was really good. What it did was that it did boost my profile in terms of just being like, she's being
like a beauty guru.
Yeah. And so then I actually started doing local TV news segments as a guest, which I had never done before. But I did the Miami affiliate. Of course, I started a regular segment here in this market. And I was like, if I really wanted to do this like full time, I could see myself like going to local NBC affiliates all over the country and just using that as a platform to, because you know, if as a producer, if I pitched you an email like Today Show Social Star, you'd be like, oh, click, let me read this email, you know. So I felt that would help me because whenever you have a guest that's been on the Today Show, like, you know that they know what to do, you know. So that was something that I was really, really helpful for. And of course, they also got me YouTube mentoring, like from actual YouTube.
Oh, wow. Like from the YouTube. So what was VidCon like? Was it a lot of fun?
It was really fun. I really enjoyed that. It was overwhelming. You know, you saw like big YouTubers, you know, that were meeting their fans. Manny MUA, which people who are not in the beauty field are like, who's that? And I'm like, oh, it's Manny, you know. So I was like getting to see people that I follow and subscribe to. And so that was good. Also, when we went to New York City to do the in-studio segment follow-up, we actually got to go to YouTube headquarters, which is where we shot many online things. So that was great. And then of course, getting the actual YouTube advice, like, because they gave me phone sessions of here's how to grow your channel. Here's things you can do. Some things that they told me went in one ear and out the other because it was so intense, so fast. Some things though that I took and used, I did see, you know, help me grow. So I definitely feel like the advice was really good. Like I used to sit there and take notes, you know, and then I was like, I don't understand some things I can do. So it was really, really valuable information.
That's awesome. So from your mentoring sessions with Candy, like what kind of advice did she give you when you were doing it?
Yeah, the biggest one she told me, and it was like, I tried to listen to her. It didn't really work. She was like, stop being such a TV news anchor. And she was
I saw that in the one package.
Yeah. And
for TV anchors, that's hard, like, because you're so used to having to be that. Like, it's very, I can see it's being difficult.
She has a personality, like in real life, she is what she is on camera, but it's like on camera, it's intensified. It's like magnified. I think that like in real life, and even just talking to you, I'm kind of using my news voice. I can't help it. In real life, I'm actually really stupid goofy. Like even at work last week, they're like, we like it when you do your stupid voices. I'm like, I never do my stupid voices on YouTube. I would probably have a lot more subscribers if I did. It's when the camera light comes on, news has trained me that you be serious. You be this kind of like informative, you know, person, like this persona. And I'm like, I don't know how to turn that off. You know, I wish I could just be, I think I do better. And I could show more personality if I had a person with me. Like if there was somebody here in the
Like
studio,
someone to play off of you.
yes,
Yeah, that would make sense.
like stupid, and I could do my stupid voices, you know, and it would be great. But I'm like, I just can't. I'm filming by myself. It's like being in a, you know, you're at CNN and there's the red light comes on, and you know, you're typing and then you're anchoring. And so it's just something that I have really struggled with, because I feel like the people who have the most personality, like the funnest and the most funny, they're the ones that do well. Those are the ones that I want to watch.
Yeah. Who are your favorite YouTubers like right now?
I'm obsessed with Miss Remy Ashton because, first of all, she is like gorgeous. And I feel like she's beautiful before, but she just lost like 50, 60 pounds. And I feel like I looked like her before. So I watch her vlogs and YouTubes, and she just does all this, you know, she's the one who taught me, not taught me because she didn't teach me, her video taught me how to make your thumbnail look better. And if you want, like, if you're a girl, like girly, like I am, like super girly, you might want to watch her video because her thumbnails are like bright and colorful, like bright blue, hot pink, yellow, you know, flowers. And I was like, ooh, this is good stuff. So if you look on my channel, you'll see a difference in my thumbnails over the past like 6 weeks, because I watched her video and I was like, this is what I want my thumbnails to look like. So she went step by step and showed how she edits her thumbnails on PicMonkey. And so I've been doing that, and I think my videos are doing better now. You know, I don't get 1 million views per video. If I'm lucky, I get like 500, you know, because I don't have a ton of subscribers. But I feel like the thumbnail is everything.
Yeah,
you do
for sure.
I'm like, I don't want to watch a crappy thumbnail video, you know?
That's like kind of like, that's sort of like the marketing and advertising for the video. And what was I was watching that Daryl Eves interview with the Sharer brothers, and the one guy, so they went from 0 to 2 million in like a year.
Oh
and now they have like a channel for the brother. They have a channel for their sister. And I think their sister is adopted because she's Asian. So I thought that was kind of cool because I'm adopted too.
yeah.
But so they were talking about their thumbnails, and so they talked a lot about writing trends. They're like, we would see a trend and we would jump on it.
Okay.
And then the other thing they talked about was the one guy would spend 8 hours on one thumbnail. But you know what though? I was like, that seems crazy, but when you're getting millions of views on the video, man, it's worth, like, I would spend 8 hours on a thumbnail if it would get me 1 million views. And I'm trying to really, like you were saying, I'm trying to buckle down on my thumbnails too, because I think there's a lot to be, in fact, I just changed my like channel banner. I kind of redesigned the channel banner. So there's a lot you can do. And that's the good thing about YouTube. The thing I really love about it is it's always kind of inspiring you to be better, to improve, to grow, and to really up your production value, up your, you know, graphics, you know, kind of as you grow. You know, a lot of people do also like seeing that growth, seeing you go from like home. Like, you know, my first videos, even as a TV producer, my first videos were not great. Just because you don't know the platform yet. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So like at first, I don't know if you did this, I started doing it like the newsy way.
Yeah.
This isn't really working. I was like I produced like a couple news-ish packages. They did okay, but not fantastic. And, you know, like I wasn't really appealing to the platform. And once I changed that, things kind of started to turn around a little bit. But I love talking about this because, you know, a lot of folks in our industry, not a whole lot of them are on YouTube. Wouldn't you love to see more TV news people on YouTube though?
I would.
Like, we have so much, like these people have so much to offer the platform. And I think it's a shame that more of them are still like, oh, I don't know if I have time, or like, you know, I'm just not ready for that. But it's such a great place to be. I would like, so if you're in TV news out there, we would love to see you here because it's a lot of fun on this side.
What stops a lot of TV people, and I'm sure you went through this yourself personally, it takes a lot out of you to do that job. Like at the end of the day, to do like that, you know, to be in news and then to come home and do more with YouTube, whew, I would respect somebody a lot if they do. There are some people who do. There's a Dominique Sachet who is a Houston anchor who just hit like 500,000 subscribers.
Ooh, I'll have to check her out.
Yeah, I remember discovering her when she had like 80, 90,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love her because she's so anchory. And I enjoyed watching that. And she really gave great beauty advice and stuff. And now she's blown up. She's drop dead gorgeous. Obviously, she has the on-air presence. That is, to me, rare, though. I feel that she's the exception to the rule, because you see most of the other people who are blowing up, like we talked about,
they don't have that background. Yeah, they're not like that.
Right.
So I want to take the opportunity to ask you, as a former on-air personality for a TV station, what do you think stations should do for these social media policies in like letting on-air people, like what do you think would be fair to both sides?
Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up. I don't think I've had this discussion with anybody, but I
think it's very important to bring up, because you see a lot of anchors, reporters now with Facebook pages or with YouTube channels, and what happens? Does the station own it? Does the talent own it? Sure. And what do you do? And also, if the station owns it, the talent has no incentive to really do much with it if they can't take it with them. So I was just kind of wondering what your input was on what you think station policy should be like moving forward.
Okay, I will say, and I love this topic, basically I feel that if the stations are not social first, you're going down, because that's where the audience is going. Even the traditional TV news audience, who may skew a little bit older, they are on Facebook. They all have, smartphones or whatever. So it's like the exception rather than the rule to not be social media, plugged in. So I feel that if they're ignoring it and they're letting their talent continue to see it as an afterthought, that is a big mistake. And one thing that I think local news is not doing well, me personally, because of course I follow a lot of Facebook pages and Twitter accounts of like TV news, just because that is my background. I feel that what the Today Show does right is that they are social first, and they create content just for social media, which, let's be real, they have like 1 million employees, so they have the time to do that. But I feel that social for stations today that are not like utilizing the content that's already there on their social media pages, that to me is a waste. Because like, for example, my TV segments here that I would do in this market, I was like, why don't you guys put these, like I would create the web script, I would submit it and it would be like submitted by Beauty News with Angela Cruz as a contributor. But then I'm like, you guys don't promote this. Like I just did you a 3-minute segment that, is I think valuable for the viewers. And you obviously put me on air, which I appreciated, but I was like, I think you need to put this on your Facebook page and tweet it out and, do the steps, like do what we as YouTubers naturally do. Like when you make a video, you're going on Twitter and you're tweeting it, you're, posting an Instagram post about it. And so I'm like, the packages that I think, like the hard news packages that they're doing, they will, because they know they get the clicks, they will put it on Facebook because it's controversial, guts and glory and murder and stuff like that. Like they're going to put that out there. But I'm like, you guys are missing the other talker pieces, because you will see the Today Show's page is obviously it's a morning show, so that I know is different. But I'm like, they have the most followers. Clearly what they're doing is working. So let's follow that model, so that's my personal opinion. When it comes to the policy, I feel that, I hate to say it should be required, but it should be required. So I do remember getting trained at my last station here where they were like, and I feel very proud that they actually use my Facebook page as like the role model. They were like, look, she has a cover photo of a live truck and her, avatar is her holding a mic, stuff like that. But I feel like you can get some story ideas that way. You will get more clicks for your online story. And that's what stations are looking for these days. They're it's a revenue driven model, and you can't monetize the TV as much as you can sometimes the social. And you can sell that. They have sales reps just for digital these days. So I definitely feel that news stations need to be on that bandwagon.
Those are some really great thoughts. Do you feel like talent should have ownership of all their social media accounts versus the station?
Because, like sometimes you'll see that if they brand themselves like Angela Cruz, KTBS on the Twitter, then I went to WPTV. Well, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
You got to start over from scratch. So that's why I feel like it's better to brand yourself because local news knows there's all the movement, so they know that they're not usually going to stay there forever. So I do think it needs to be more your name. If you put the call letters, be prepared that you may lose that little verified check mark by your name when you switch your handle to your news station. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. And I think that's so interesting because I have been talking to some folks kind of, on and off. And, some of them, their stations allow them to have things like a YouTube channel, like you were saying that one woman did, and she did very well. Some other stations, the station actually owns their Facebook account or their Twitter account. So I think some of those folks tend to feel a little bit more, under restriction because they don't own their stuff. And if they leave their job, they lose all their fans.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I think is a little unfair in my opinion, I get where the station is coming from, but I think stations need to realize that talent are going to switch jobs. And I think it's in everyone's best interest as an industry to let those people keep their own accounts, keep ownership of those accounts, because even though, say Susie Smith leaves, W whatever, you might get another reporter in and they might already have a social media following. But if that person wasn't allowed to take it with them, they would have nothing. So I think I don't know, I'm out of the business now, but I do think overall as an industry standard, I do think stations and networks should let anchors, reporters, sports guys, meteorologists keep their own social media accounts and take them with them. Let them retain the ownership. These people, a lot of them aren't even making very much money to begin with.
Awesome.
So by taking away their social media account, you're really taking away a lot of their potential opportunity. I think it's a little bit unfair. I get where they're coming from, but I would like to see more policies that favor the employee at least a little bit like that.
I agree with you. I think when I was applying at my last station here in Florida, I used my Facebook page as part of the hireability factor for myself. I'm like, look, I do all these things. And then I also do the social component, so I think that may have helped me. I don't know for sure. That was years ago. But these days, if I were a news director, I would most certainly look at your social and be like, how often do you post to Twitter? Because one of my good friends is at a big market station, and like, she tells me that they have to tweet a certain amount every day. And I'm like, I hate to tell you that's good, but that's good.
Yeah.
I hate to make your workload harder because I know you're out there busting your chops every day, but I want to see those tweets. I think that's so important. That's just as important as your live shot. So it is, the whole TV industry. I know you agree with me because everybody says this, you do more with less, but I do feel that the on air, as important as it is, you got to look at the online, so yeah.
Yeah, no, great conversation. I just love this. But yeah, I do think if they let people have ownership of their accounts, let them grow their following, the end result, I believe, would be a lot more people with a good social media following throughout the entire industry, which is what you want. It would help translate to viewers or people clicking on your website. Right. If you hired a reporter that was allowed to have a YouTube channel, that was allowed to have a Facebook page that they owned, that they grow and they felt. Because if you don't own your Facebook account, you're not going to feel as compelled or as, like you're not going to have that feel of ownership of it if you don't own it. Mm-hmm. So, like if you know that you can't take your Twitter account with you, are you going to feel as motivated to tweet? Probably not. But if it's your brand, if it's something that you have and you're building, it's definitely something you'd be more willing to put in the effort for. Well, that's so interesting. Okay, so bit of a two-sided question here. What do you think is the best and worst part about working in news?
Ooh. The best, I think, is being plugged in, and knowing what's going on and getting to tell the stories that matter. I know that's a cliche answer, but it's true. Like when you would do that occasional story that you're like, oh, this made a difference in somebody's life. That just made all the suffering worth it. The worst part is, for me, I feel that there's a lot of safety issues. These days we're more aware of it, so that's good. Mm-hmm. I just know in my days there were times when as an MMJ I'd be by myself and I would feel like not in a safe position, but I would still feel pressure from the news desk to just get it done. And I was fortunate that nothing ever negative happened to me, but sometimes I would be driving somewhere and they're like emailing and texting and calling me and I'm like, I'm driving, 80 miles an hour, stuff like that. So it's a trade-off, I guess. I think that the younger generation that looks at TV news these days, they do have to understand, you got to wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
You got to juggle a lot of things at once. I know you know this as well, but I mean, it's an addictive business. Again, I thought I'd never leave it because I so loved it. It was like my passion and I'm still very interested in it, but I've shifted my focus, but it's kind of like crazy. It's a crazy world.
It's definitely not for everybody. What made you want to transition out of the business?
I don't think I've ever told this story to anybody but like my close friends. I'm
Whoa.
going on the record. I'm going on the record.
All
So
right. It's a scoop from
yeah,
Beauty News with Angela Cruz. Breaking news.
so long ago. And I didn't tell the story because I do thankfully keep a very positive relationship with my former employers. I would even go back and visit the stations, like in my hometown in Shreveport in Louisiana, my media market station, and obviously here in this market, I would still do segments. So this is nothing against the station itself. This was just my day. But I remember walking in the Treasure Coast in Florida. That's where I was reporting that day. And I was walking by myself down like 6 neighborhoods, and it was boiling hot in the middle of like July or something like that in Florida. I was wearing a dress and heels, carrying a big camera. Actually, it was not a big camera, but it was a camera, so I'm carrying it and I'm knocking on every door trying to get a man on the street soundbite, which is a reaction soundbite for non-news people. That's like, so you grab somebody off the street, like, what do you think about this? That's a man on the street. So,
which is pretty much completely useless. Like I think, I don't even know why that we're still doing that, but in 2018, man on street, still getting it.
Find a real person.
Yeah.
And I was struggling to find that real person. Usually I could easily get somebody, but that day, for some reason, people were just not interested in the story. It was like a house had been burglarized, a typical news story. So the sergeant of the police office had come in and given me a soundbite that day. So he came in on his day off. So I already had half the story, but I needed the reaction of a local resident, and I could not get somebody to talk to me. And the news desk, unfortunately, they didn't understand. They're like, why can't somebody talk? I'm like, I don't know. I'm doing everything I normally do. But the last house of the last neighborhood where I was like, I'm not going to have a story if this house doesn't talk to me, they did. But I had to convince them, and I was almost in tears at that point. And I just remember feeling like, is this what I want in my life right now? And that's when I was like, nope. And I had another job opportunity. So I actually moved from TV news to PR for a zoo, which was very fun and interesting. You have to be careful when you get out of television to be mindful of the type of job that you take, because you're so used to doing things a certain way. You're used to that adrenaline rush every day. Going to like maybe a desk type job or, a slower pace, like something that's completely different from news, can often be a culture shock. Going to the zoo world was different, but it was still like, I still went on air because we had animal segments on the local station. I gave sound bites, like I was the interviewee. I still pitched, I wrote VOSOTs, I still shot video. So it was a really good PR job after news. It was like ideal, honestly. But yeah, going from news to something not news is very hard. Sometimes it'll shock you, and then you go back to news, which is rare, but it does happen because they went in the job that was like something that they shouldn't have done,
Wow, that's for going to the PR side, which, by the way, for the record, I have worked with many zoo and like aquarium PR folks. I find for whatever reason, they're the best. Like, I don't know what it is about them, but I've always had really great experiences with people who have worked at places like that. I don't know why, but they're usually kind of fun. They're usually pretty media savvy.
Yeah.
As someone that went to the PR media relations world, what kind of advice would you give to other media and PR folks who want to develop relationships with media outlets?
Honestly, okay, I'm going to take this question in 2 different directions. One you asked me, one you didn't ask me, but I think it's important for me to say because it's the number one question that I still to this day get asked. First, I want to touch on how to get out of news into PR, and I'll touch on that briefly. I could do a whole 1-hour segment on that because I literally used to mentor people that were like, we want to switch out. I would say you need to build your PR chops. Like you need to write some press releases, whether they're for publishing or not. You need to show that you have that skill set, which if you're in news, you know how to write a press release because you've read 5,000.
You've read all the bad ones.
That's right. And so you know how to pitch. Secondly, you also need to work your contacts, which is a cliche, so I won't expound upon that, but it is true. And then thirdly, you need to know how to translate your news skill set to the PR world, because often the hiring managers or like the CEO of whatever company is not going to be sold if you show up and say, I have 9 years news experience. Yeah. Instead, you can say, I can help your bottom line by this, and this, because these are the skill sets that I bring. So that is my biggest advice. I could go on further about it. People probably want to know more. You asked about how to pitch. Well, tell me again your question. See, I went on.
Tips for media and PR people who want to have a better relationship with media outlets. As you and I know, a lot of folks who think they're media savvy, you get the press release and it's not great. So how can people work to maybe improve in this area?
Sure. I think the first thing that I would do is always think for TV in terms of visuals. For print, you also need to think about like, what is the headline? So when you're making your pitch, tell them these are the elements that I have for you. There's a cruise ship that's opening, so you're going to get the ribbon cutting. There is this is the economic impact, so there's your hard news data. I've got the statistics from year to year comparison. And then third, I've got your real people, the passengers. They've given you credentials to go talk and interview them. And also we have the CEO of the cruise line who's here to talk to you. This was my story on Friday. So you need to know how the news people think and what they look for, and everybody's different, because in the PR world, I pitch like magazines, which is very different. I pitch newspapers, radio, TV, very little radio, but I do it. So it's like they're all different. They're all looking for something different. I think the bottom line is you have to sell them the story so that the reporter can go sell it to the assignment desk, So, and that's universal, whether it's magazine, TV or print newspaper.
Solid advice. Okay, so I do want to ask you more about your career. Right now, I've talked to quite a few people on this, doing this, and a lot of folks have more than one thing going on. They're not just doing one thing. That's certainly the case with you. You have several hustles going on at once. I just kind of want to ask how you got into them. And also, like, is this kind of the future, the whole gig economy? It seems like a lot of folks, and maybe moving forward, we're going to see a climate where people don't necessarily have that 9-to-5 job. You may have 4 to 5 hustles going on, and that's how you're pulling it together.
I'm sure everybody knows, Rich Dad, Poor Dad have multiple streams of income. I'm a big fan of that, because you never know in this economy what could happen. People get downsized unexpectedly that just never saw it coming. For me, I was doing multiple jobs. Like, I have my full-time tourism job in PR. I was a church organist on Saturdays and Sundays, literally working 7 days a week. YouTube. I was doing other things I can't even remember. Oh, and I also have a home-based business, which is, selling shampoo that helps grow your hair and have hair loss and stuff like that. So literally, like, I was like streams of income here and here and here, and I would also do like funerals and weddings because I'm church organist, so things like that. Ever since I've become pregnant, I am no longer at the church. I still substitute, but I don't do that anymore. It was like, I'm like focusing on my health and stress level, and I'm like trying to exercise a lot just because, baby on the way. But I know that I do encourage people to, don't be scared of work. And maybe it's because I have like workaholic parents, but I grew up in a workaholic household. So I kind of am a workaholic. I feel like the average American maybe can learn something from the Asian culture, because the Asian culture is like work, and like my husband, who's like, all American, he's like, I like to relax. I'm like, what is this relaxation? Like, what is that? So I just, but I've tried to train myself, because I do think there needs to be more of a work-life balance. I think also too with YouTube, for me, I stopped pushing it so hard probably 6 to 12 months after the Today Show experience, because I think I pushed myself because I had high expectations. Like, I want 1 million subscribers, which clearly I'm not even close. But I was like pushing myself because of that experience. And then I realized, I said, you know what, this is not clicking for me. Like, if I were one of those people like you've talked to that have made like 2 million subscribers in a year or two, that would be different. Then I would be like, okay, let me change my career trajectory. I'm going to become a full-time YouTuber, and I secretly was hoping like, maybe this is in the cards for me. Maybe I can become like a regular Today Show contributor, which didn't happen. But I still am like doing what I did before. I just had to manage it better, because I think I was neglectful of like my health, because I was still doing, like, I never tried to not do well at my PR job, because I'm like, this is my gig. Like, I'm going to do a good job. And then at church, I feel like I was a little neglectful of that, It's like I would show up and go through the motions. My heart wasn't in it. So I feel like you have to also evaluate, like, does YouTube really bring me a lot of income? No, it doesn't. Do I enjoy it? Yes, it's a fun hobby. But why am I pushing myself so hard and getting so stressed out when it's not my main revenue stream? If that makes sense. When you talk about like the multiple hustles, again, I feel that they are good because you never know what could hit. Like my home shampoo business actually brought me several $1,000s of income last year that I was like, oh, I barely did anything to earn that. It just blew up because I put on some Facebook before and afters of my hair, so some things can blow up. And then again, what if you have an awesome YouTube channel and you blow up and get like 100,000 subscribers, and then you can do that full time. So I say, try things, find out what your passion is. I do tell people, because I get this question a lot, Jennifer, I don't know if you get this question. A lot of people ask me, how much money do you make on YouTube? Can you really do well with it? And I tell them, I'm like, unless you are big, unless you are 100,000 subscribers or more, please don't expect to earn a full-time income from YouTube.
It's not like it's not an easy side job. It is like building a small business. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing I found with YouTube, and one thing, some advice I was given is, make sure that you still have several different sources of revenue even from doing that. So I've been really trying to focus on ways to make this ways to monetize this whole thing other than just the Google ads. A lot of people and even when you talk to people, a lot of folks don't have any idea how to earn money on YouTube or like how you could make money on YouTube.
Right.
But it's so interesting. And it's just kind of fascinating. Like, we got into TV to, try to make a difference and to be creative. I feel like YouTube is giving me that same sense like you had when you were in college where you were really excited and you're like, wow, this is amazing. So I love doing it. And while I'm not a beauty guru, I do have to confess. So I was raised in a very white hometown and I didn't know how to do my makeup properly. Like I didn't, like you see all the white girls doing their eyes and clearly that didn't work for me. So I have to thank YouTube because that's really where I learned to do makeup for Asians. Because again, especially when we were growing up, you didn't have that. Like I had no one to turn to. I had no one to, be able to look at. Like there weren't Asian girls in magazines or anything really. So YouTube for the first time is giving people these communities of like-minded people or people with similar backgrounds or people that, are into the same stuff as you. So like, that's what it gives you is, again, I was able to finally learn like, wow, that's how you're supposed to do your makeup. I had no idea. Like, I think I learned how to do my makeup from like Michelle Phan or something, or,
I love her.
Like or that one, have you ever seen that Holly? I'm not sure how to Holly Anna something.
So cute. Yeah.
But I learned how to do my makeup from those women. In fact, I learned a lot about being Asian from the Fung Bros comedy channel. I'm like all the stare. Have you ever seen that channel?
No.
Okay, just look up Fung Bros comedy. They have videos like 18 types of Asian girls or like things Asian parents do or something. But like they're stereotypes, but it's like funny. So like I've learned a lot just about the background, again, because I'm adopted, just by watching YouTube. Things that I never knew. I'm like, wow, I had no idea. I didn't know Asians like Las Vegas or, Hello Kitty or something.
Adopted story on YouTube?
I've definitely thought about it. And there is an adoptee that I followed. There was a documentary on this guy called Dan, AKA Dan, an Asian rapper of all things. And he went to Korea and tracked down his birth family. And it was pretty cool. So I've thought about sharing it a little bit, particularly I think, like the other thing I like about YouTube is, again, you and I have a little more life experience than some of the kids, like the Jake Pauls of the world.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of being able to share things like maybe that I would tell my younger self, like kind of in a big sister way, like, hey, you know what, here's some things I did in high school that were really stupid. Don't do these things, something like that. So I've been thinking about things like that, or just kind of trying to encourage kids who feel alone, like, because I felt pretty like outcasted when I was in high school. But I would tell those kids like life can really get better over time. So don't feel like that time you have in high school where you feel like a loser is going to last forever, because it really doesn't. So there's just so many things I want to talk about. But that's the thing I like about this whole platform is that you can make a video about anything you want, which you couldn't do that at your local news station. Be like, hey, I want to talk about dating or something. Like that would never happen. So, all right, TV news. Obviously, it's going through kind of a tough time right now. People don't even know what to think. I've asked lots of people this question. Nobody really has a definitive answer. But what do you feel like the TV news industry needs to do?
Well, we've talked about the social and the digital, because I keep up with a lot of the daily media headlines, and I have found that people are not turning away from TV news. They're turning more to the online TV.
Yeah.
To the website of the station. So they're actually saying there is hope for TV news. Because like my husband, again, former TV reporter, he's like, news is dying. TV news is dying. It's actually not. So the audience is still there and they're still consuming the content. They're just consuming it in a different way. Yeah. So that's really what they need to do is the TV stations need to understand that. They need to grasp it and embrace it, take advantage of it, and then get on that bandwagon.
Yeah, I think those are really good thoughts. And you're right. And when you think about it too, these stations potentially have a much larger audience. Mm-hmm. Before the internet, you didn't have a worldwide audience. You just had the people in the market.
That's
right.
So
while it does open up for more competition from like the new media spaces and others, pretty much now your competition is every TV station ever. But at
And
the
it's
same time, it
credibility.
opens up your audience to a lot more potential viewers, more potential readers. And I think I don't see a lot of stations. I see some stations going in the right direction, but I think there's a lot more that can be done in that area to get more eyeballs on local news.
Yeah, you're right. You know, I remember, and you probably remember this too, like 5 to 7 years ago, there was this big thing about like street journalists, you know, how anybody could be a journalist with a smartphone. I think that our common sense tells us that an actual journalist who is like working at a station or a newspaper or whatever, they follow the news values of like accuracy, you know, and all that stuff. Whereas a street journalist, you're like, what is this? You know, so I do think that there is a place for news in our future for sure. Like I am not as worried about it. I do worry a little bit about the print component, just because I feel that, you know, paper is like the physical paper. It's like times have changed. You know, people are consuming the mobile version. So, you know, there's definitely changes that do have to be made, but I feel like staffing should probably not be cut, you know. But again, my opinion, I'm not, you know, a CEO of a news station. But I do think that there is hope. So that's why I tell people it's like, don't write off news. Like, don't, you know, because that, where do you get your news? Like, are you going to, you know, go to Facebook and see what your neighbor posted, or are you going to read the reporter who's live on the scene? Like, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, no, that is so true. What do I even have to ask what your favorite social media platform is?
Oh, this is so funny. I love Facebook because I'm in my 30s.
Angela.
It's so funny. Like everybody is all about Instagram these days, which I'm trying to build my Instagram because that's what brands want. So you got to give them what they're interested in. Like when I get approached by a brand that wants to work with me, they're all like, what are you going to do on Instagram or YouTube? I feel like that's something that has made my demand go up, is because there are not as many YouTubers, you know, who do the quality product or whatever.
And don't have your background. They don't have your background.
Yeah. I feel also that, you know, I wear both hats. Like I'm a blogger and a PR person. So I actually work with bloggers too in the other role. Like I'm the one approaching them. I look at their quality, you know, because I'm like, which one would I really believe, you know? So I feel like there's, you know, ways to look at it that way. Yeah, I feel like with YouTube, there's a lot that can be done. Facebook, the reason I think I like it so much is just because I'm addicted to like the videos, because they boost like stupid animal videos. I love those stupid animal videos. I just watch them. I will start at 10 p.m. Like I'm going to bed early, and then I'll start scrolling through Facebook, and then it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, why am I still watching this Facebook animal video? Like, what is my problem? It's just so addictive. They know, Mark Zuckerberg knows my brain. He knows what
do you feel like Mark Zuckerberg is slowly brainwashing us all? Did you watch all the Facebook hearings?
I didn't. I purposely stayed away because it was all over the headlines. I was like, I'm just going to back up. You know?
I tried to watch them. It was, yeah. It was, I got through about 2 hours of like the 7-hour live stream on day 2. And I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. You know, it's just kind of clear that a lot of the people who were asking him the questions, they're certainly not experts on the platform. So the questions were like stuff that your grandma would ask you about Facebook. So it was a little, you know, a little frustrating. And you were kind of talking, I saw you posted something earlier about those crazy makeup fads, like people that are putting now, I don't know what these people are doing. They're putting pom-poms on their face. There's also like all those eyebrow trends. And you were kind of saying you don't tend to buy into those too much for your channel, like the real gimmicky, like crazy hacks.
I feel like the whole, like when I was working with the Today Show, what the editor wanted out of me was those viral kind of videos, like the videos that would go clickable. Because I know you and I talked about one of the videos I did for the Today Show was balloons in my hair to curl my hair. Yes, you can actually do it. Yes, it actually worked for me. Is it practical? Absolutely not. Does it look great on a thumbnail with a girl with balloons in her hair? Does. I actually did a phone interview with a radio DJ in Little Rock who was like, I found your video. Is that really working? And like, we actually went on air because those kinds of things are so unusual. However, one of the, I don't want to say flaws, but one of the things on my YouTube channel that I think has kind of held me back in terms of growth and reach is that I am more of like the desk kind of worker. Like I go to a desk job. Again, I was a church organist for years. So I go to a church. I don't wear crazy, like hot pink, bright makeup, you know, those makeup looks that would really do well on Instagram or YouTube where people would click to say, how did she do that crazy hot pink eyeshadow? You know, I was like, I don't do those looks because I work a normal kind of job. You know, I have to look a certain way and professional. But when you do those makeup videos, like the pom-poms glued to your face.
I don't even know where to start with those people. Like, I think that's a waste of pom-poms, first of all, but I'm like,
I will say, I think the entertainment value is what's getting fixed. Like people are, it's like watching a train wreck. You're so
Yeah.
mesmerized. You're like, so I find myself watching those videos sometimes and I'm like, that's why I'm my channel. Cause I'm not, I'm not doing those kinds of videos. And maybe if I did those stupid videos, I would be more popular, so kind of a trade-off.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you'll watch the video, but you know that like 99% of the people watching them are never going to actually do the thing.
No.
Like those crazy hacks. Have you ever seen Jenna Marble's
Yes.
DIY videos? Oh my gosh.
And then her little
She's so funny.
eyes all over her face.
Oh
That
my
was a watch from start to finish. That is the classic example of like, that this is like ridiculous, but you can't stop
You're
watching.
like, this is going to be good. The one where she put the 100 layers of makeup on was pretty interesting.
That was crazy. Like that actually was one of the things that the Today Show producer told me. Like, she's like, we want something like that. Like something that's going to hit that everybody starts doing. I'm like, okay.
And I always wondered, is that like a health hazard at some point to get like,
not safe.
Like how good is that for your skin and stuff?
Yeah, I was like, that's not really that great for you. But hey, if it breaks you out and you have a skin rash, but you got 1 million views, is it worth it?
Like that just really freaked me out. Or the one she put rhinestones all over her face.
Yeah, that was awesome.
She's done the drunk makeup videos.
Yeah.
Again, that's not maybe as dangerous. It's just you're just a little smashed when you're putting on makeup. What are some of your favorite beauty people to watch or favorite videos? Like what do you tend to get sucked in on?
What I like to watch is the actual practical advice, like really like how to do a winged eyeshadow look for hooded Asian eyes. Like I looked that up, and I learned, like I learned how to do my makeup on YouTube. Just watching them and rewatching them. I actually used to sit and take notes back when I was, newer and didn't really know how to do this stuff already. So me personally, I actually like to watch things that I'm really going to use. Lately, I've been watching, because I'm into like the health and fitness thing right now. I've been watching what I like to eat in a day. Whether it's low carb or, more fruits and vegetables, like how are other people incorporating in their diet more healthful habits? And that's why I'm obsessed. My favorite YouTuber right now is Miss Remy Ashton, because again, she lost 50, 60 pounds. She vlogs her workouts. She'll go her little outfit. She's on the Stairmaster. And I get motivated by watching these kind of videos, because it's like, I can see Remy do it. I can do it too. So that's something. I actually started vlogging again because of her, because I'm like, I'm watching her vlogs. She's just going to eat with her friends at a restaurant. I'm watching.
Like, I'm going to eat with my friends. Why not?
Me too. So I started vlogging, and my husband's like, stop vlogging. I'm like, nope, got my camera out, So I started doing it. I haven't edited it. I have a thing because I just have, like, I can film all day, but editing makes me.
Yeah, the edit, especially it's like the more tape you have, the harder it is to. You're like, I've got 30 minutes of raw, so what am I going to do now? So, and I do want to ask, obviously you worked in a profession where beauty and makeup was part of your job. Did you feel like it was a kind of a natural progression? Because I'm sure over the years you've probably had to learn a lot of things about your own makeup and hair in order to do it every day.
I always liked makeup. When my sister was in the 5th grade, and I think I was like 2nd or 3rd grade, we were in karate together. She got punched in the face in a tournament, and so she got a black eye. So my mom got her purple eyeshadow to go on the other eye, and I was like, why can't I have some purple eyeshadow too? So literally that sparked my love affair with makeup.
Was your sister getting punched?
She got punched.
Oh my gosh. Is she okay now? Hopefully.
It's so funny because she doesn't wear makeup like at all. And I've given her so much makeup. I literally just made her a package of makeup today. And I'm like, you waste my time because you never use what I give you. But I'm like, that's, we all have different tastes. When it comes to YouTube, you need to do a channel that you're really passionate about. Like, obviously you're passionate about helping other YouTubers and, your ex-career, at CNN and as a producer on TV. And like, you and I are both really into that. Like, you gotta have a subject matter material that you can talk about all day, every day. Yeah. I can talk about makeup all day, every day. So luckily that's my channel. Cause I feel like if I had done something different, if I had done health and fitness, that would have been a problem. Cause I go in waves. Like today I'm all about health and fitness. Tomorrow I might be eating some Captain
Tomorrow. Yeah. You're going to be watching Remy Ashton while you're laying on the couch eating bonbons or something. Girl, that's totally me.
That's me. Ice cream.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That would actually make a good, okay. So I thought of a random question for you. Do you have any like weird beauty hacks for like makeup and hair on the go? Like if you're in a live truck or something, like things you've done in the field that like to really like get it done. Like when you don't have a lot of time.
Those Miami reporters took it to the next level. They intimidated me because they would carry a trunk of makeup. I was like,
How do they have room for all that? Like,
they would have a photographer. I was like, I was an MMJ, so I said, I ain't got time for that, because I'm shooting and editing. But, I would see those girls, and in Miami, it's a very different market. Miami and Los Angeles to me are like two unique news markets where the look is very sexy, where they want like the sleeveless and whereas, in some other traditional market, they would be like, no, you can't look like that. So that was something that really kind of blew my mind. For me personally, I would just carry like a tiny little kit. One big tip, it's not really a crazy hack, but it was something that a news consultant had taught us. Instead of doing what I used to do, which is keep putting powder on your shiny face, take blotting papers and blot. And that was like a game changer for me because my face was always shiny on air.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And actually that was originally I'd started off wanting to be a reporter, but I found the makeup part to be a real big pain in the butt. Like, because I had real shiny, I had a super shiny, oily face too. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I'm never going to be able to keep this stuff on all day. Like, how do these people do it? But you did it for many years. And I always kind of wondered, like, what the secret is, especially when you're out somewhere and you don't have a sink. Like, I wonder, like, because when I'm doing my makeup, I have to have a sink. If I don't have a sink, like, I just feel like I just feel like incomplete or something. So I always wonder how people do their makeup if you're standing in a field or if you're at a crime scene and you have no access to like running water or like an electrical outlet. Like, what do you do? Like, I always kind of wondered that. That would be a good video for you. 5 TV reporter beauty hacks.
I'm so glad you gave me this story idea because I'm like, why have I not done that video? Because I am full of knowledge of how to make the makeup last when you're out sweaty. And it's really like not just for TV reporters, but for anybody who's out for 8 hours in the hot sun.
And doesn't have a chance to get back inside or like.
Yeah.
Because I struggle with that all the time. And I was like, I don't, like my makeup would just sort of melt off like at the end. I'm like, yeah, this is not good. But I do think that would be a good video. So like like 10 beauty hacks from a former TV reporter. That would do well, I think.
I totally need to do that video because I should have a long time
ago.
You
probably have a gazillion of them. You could do some hair stuff like when you're out and you could tape them outside. Like, so you're like, I don't know. Sorry. I just like to come up with video ideas.
I love it.
I know. Yes, we should definitely talk again because I could probably come up with some random ideas. I've got some rolling in my head right now. So we'll have to see. All right. So I want to give you the opportunity, Angela. Okay. So first of all, where can people find you online? I'm going to link everything below too, but feel free to pump anything you got going on.
You're so kind. I'm on all social media, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat and Facebook at Angela Cruz Tube. I actually made my handle in honor of YouTube, like TUBE, Angela Cruz Tube. So that's where I am on everything. And the platforms I'm most active on lately, I've been doing more Instagram, like I said, because more brands want that. And I do think that a lot of people are going in that direction. For me personally, Facebook is my favorite, but that's of course with the friends, like the private profile is different than the public Facebook page. YouTube channel, I do post twice a week, usually Sundays and Wednesdays. And that's what I say. That's what it is, so that if everybody can follow me, I'd be very grateful.
Yay. All right. And lastly, I want to give you the opportunity to ask this audience sort of a question of the day. If you've been looking to do some market research or anything, I want to give you the chance. You can literally ask any question you want to the internet audience.
Actually, this question comes from our conversation. I'm curious if what the average viewer watches more of YouTube or TV news. And I think I know what the answer is, but I'm very curious, like how many hours per week are you watching like TV news? And I mean like the traditional TV, like you turn on your TV, not like the mobile, versus YouTube. That's what I'd really like to know.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. And this is, again, Angela Cruz. Her YouTube channel is Beauty News with Angela Cruz. You can get all the breaking news on makeup, beauty, how to curl your hair with balloons, if that is something you've been wondering. But Angela, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was a really good conversation. I really appreciate you.
I am so pumped. And again, I'm XTV producer Jennifer Moore. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more interviews with folks like Angela. I'll see you guys next time.